Today, we're jumping into the second interview that is part of an 8-part masterclass on personal finance with Meridian Credit Union. And girl, we are jumping right into it today with Teresa Valenti from Meridian Credit Union as we zero in on what was formerly a dirty word for me, budgeting. Welcome to the show, Teresa.
Thank you, Candace. Nice to be back.
I think back on my education, and I have the most beautiful cursive writing. But budgeting wasn't exactly something I think I learned in school when I think back on that.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of people, when they hear the word budget, they think it's going to be a very ominous, time-consuming event to try to get all of their finances together. But really, it is the easiest thing to do to get yourself in a position where you can manage your money better.
Yeah, I genuinely thought, when I first started, really zoning in on budgeting, I genuinely thought it was going to be quite painful. As it turns out, it's actually quite an enjoyable process. So let's start with where to begin for people.
Sure. So the first thing to do is get organized, collect all your receipts, your credit card statements, and really have a look of where your money is going. Keep track of your spending. There are apps you can actually put on your phone. So when you're out getting your Starbucks or your groceries, just key it in, very, very simple. And then have a look at where you want to spend your money. What are your plans for it? Are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for a down payment on a home? Maybe a vacation that we're all dying to have. And once you do those two things, it is time to crunch the numbers. And this is where budgeting will come in. And when you think, what is a budget? It's really just creating a plan on where to spend your money while balancing your income against your expenses.
Yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I'd heard in the last few years is that to give every dollar a job. So, make your money work for you, right? Give every dollar that comes into your hand a job. It can be for fun, but give it a job.
That's a very good point. Absolutely. So one of the things I like to do is when I have people create a budget is making sure that when it is completed, that they can compare it to something. So I think of it as a 50, 20, 30 plan. So 50, 20, 30. So 50%, no more than 50% of your income will go towards the essentials, such as paying your mortgage, your utilities, your groceries, and loan payments. And then you have 20% of your income that will go towards your savings, retirement, RESP, maybe tax-free. And then the 30% will go towards your lifestyle expenses, such as your entertainment, your traveling, your gym membership. And this 30% is really flexible because especially right now where we all have been home and not being able to spend money as much as we used to, there is extra money that is sitting on the sidelines now that you could actually use for paying off maybe higher income or credit cards, because we've all been shopping online. So we've been using our credit cards a lot. So there's an extra place that you can start to bring down debt, or possibly extra money for retirement. And I always say that when you're budgeting, do not forget about unexpected expenses that can come up. So this extra savings you may have now, maybe put aside as part of your emergency fund.
So as you were speaking there, it became very clear to me that I still have much more work to do here, because I was thinking extra money, I'm going shopping. So I need to rethink maybe a little bit on my budget. So what about, you talk about debt a little bit here. What is considered bad debt?
Okay, so debt is basically just borrowing money from a partner to pay for something that you can't afford. And there is good debt and there is bad debt. So when I think of good debt, I think of this debt being anything that will create a future value or increase your net worth. So a good debt could be a mortgage, small business loan, a student loan. And when you think about bad debt, This is anything that may hinder any future plans that you may have. So when I think of bad debt, I think of maybe higher credit card debt or borrowing to pay for current debt. So carrying any debt without a plan cannot be sustainable, and it will increase your debt as you go if you do not have a plan on paying it off regularly.
A car would be an example of a bad debt, really, wouldn't it? It doesn't really, most of them don't increase in value.
Yep. That is a perfect example of a bad debt, because when we get these car loans, we know that as soon as you usually roll off the lot, that your car will drop in value. It's just making sure that that debt is not way far more than what that car is worth.
Okay, so I mean, I think this 50, 20, 30 rule, I really like that. But I'm thinking right now that might be hard for some people with, sort of the economic challenges we're looking at with COVID. So is there a way to maybe, do we have to reduce our lifestyle? Should we be looking at paying down all of our debt first? Any tips for sort of dealing with that right now?
So when it comes to what order that you should kind of put this extra savings, it's really individualized, right? Because what your priority might be may not be the next person. So as far as, if you don't have this extra money, then yes, looking at that debt, a good idea is maybe to look for a way to consolidate it. We have the interest rates that are low. So checking with your bank and seeing if there's some way we can consolidate this to produce lower payments where you have this extra cash flow.
Does consolidation affect credit rating?
As long as the payments are made on time. So what would affect your credit rating on a credit bureau is if you have any lapse payments. So let's say you go past the 30 days into 60 days. When you go to borrow, this is what the lenders will look at, is your past history on how well you pay off previous debt. And also having a lot of debt at different places. So going out and getting a bunch of different credit cards or opening credit accounts at different places. These will appear on your credit bureau also. And,
okay.
and it may show if there's a lot of debt, it may also make it appear that you are searching for credit, which could also be against your credit score.
Okay, so when we're talking about then our bank account, we've got our checking, we have our savings. Do you recommend people have maybe multiple sort of buckets to put money and either leave it in savings or investing?
Yeah, so that's a good point, that when people are savings, they will have different objectives and different time horizons for their money. So putting it into different buckets or different accounts is a great way to separate these. So if you have something that's needed on a short-term basis, you may want to keep it, or your regular expenses, keep it in your checking. And then your tax-free savings may be more of a long-term type of investment. And then you may be wanting to kind of expand on the options that you're investing if you have a longer term for the money that you're saving.
Okay, I want people to be able to connect with a financial advisor at Meridian then to talk about this budgeting, because it can be a little overwhelming if perhaps you've had your head in the sand for a little bit about this, or maybe you're just getting familiar with the concept of it. So if people want to connect with you, where can they do that?
So www.meridiancu.ca. When you go onto the site, you will see our wealth tab where you can look for an advisor in your region. We have a lot of extremely talented advisors at Meridian that all specialize in different areas. And also when you're looking for that budget, there is a tools and calculator tab where you can go in, and there's actually a budget calculator that you can kind of track all of your expenses and such.
Oh, that's excellent. And I just want to I just want to remind people as well that that we're going to be keeping all of these videos from this masterclass on whatshesaidtalk.com. So if you want to go back and catch the first interview with Dilys DeCruz, you can do that. And then this one, and we're going to list them all right through to the end so that you can watch them and binge watch this masterclass, I guess. Thanks so much for joining me today, Teresa. This was great.
Thank you, Candace. We'll see you soon.